This is the Ring of Honor, a.k.a. Shane T, boy, the baddest champion you ever seen, boy.
This is Mr. Anderson.
This is good old JR Jim Ross, and you are listening.
You're listening to Knockouts and 3 Counts.
Cover! We got us a new world champion!
That might be one of the craziest knockouts I've ever seen in my life.
Knockouts and 3 Counts is the podcast, baby! They're the real deal, baby!
Knockouts and 3 Counts starts now.
Ooh, what up, no? This is Knockouts and 3 Counts, and it's almost time for me to ship out to Arizona, but we'll get to that in a little bit, because the question right now, J-Bone, is where is WrestleMania gonna be? And, you know, when this first happened, I was shocked that it happened. When the news broke that it was, they were pulling WrestleMania from NOLA, and I immediately thought Saudi. Now it looks like we might get what we've never seen in WrestleMania history, and that's WrestleMania in the same place 2 years in a row. I can only assume because of how much revenue it made for him, but I don't know. What are your thoughts on it being pulled from NOLA? Do you think it's Vegas? Do you think it's Saudi? Because I don't know. I just immediately thought Saudi because of all the shows they've been running there, number one. But number two, with Dana White and Turkey Al-Sheikh working together and that being the whole TKO thing, I just thought that it could be happening. But it's looking like Vegas, although there's been no I don't know what you call it, like official announcement. But what'd you think about this? Shout out to Boza. We got you in the comments over here. Says, part of me wasn't shocked. If you follow the news, New Orleans hasn't had a great 2025. Terrorism reporter gets murdered. 10 inmates escape jail. You know, when you put it like that,
look, man. New Orleans got a lot going on, bro. But no, I don't. You know, it's crazy because obviously we have no word on what happened, what's going on, reasoning, nothing. We know they're getting a WrestleMania in the future. We don't know when, but I feel like.
But we do know they're getting money in the bank, though.
They are getting money in the bank, but for them to pull WrestleMania like that, I mean, dude, WWE is very, very on point with their scheduling, their programming, everything. So we've never seen it just pulled. So there's got to be legit reasoning. And if it's a money thing, if we're going to go money route, it's going to be in Saudi, dude. Because let's face it, they got all the money in the world. They might as well just print money forever. They can pull it off. And look, I'm just saying it makes The Rock a liar twice now. All right. He already said he was coming to Cody's soul. And then he also said that WrestleMania was going to be in New Orleans. Remember the big announcement on SmackDown? Rock, you're full of it, bro. So whatever. You're 0 for 2 on that one this year. But as far as it going back to Vegas, Kyle, I don't know, man. Look, I've seen a lot of people saying that Vegas was overpriced for everything. It was. I mean, I get it. They bring in money, and people are gonna pay, dude. Let's face it. They're not gonna have trouble.
I mean, dude, I was there at WrestleMania this year, man.
What up, boys?
It was by far the most expensive WrestleMania I've ever been to. Like, there's not even an argument to be made. Like, straight up, it by far surpassed any of the ones that I've been to. And a lot of, you know, like Boza said in the comments, which if you guys are tuning in here, whether it's on YouTube, Millions, Bodyslam.net, or any of the other platforms, make sure you're following Knockouts and 3 Counts as well so you can keep up with the action. Please put your thoughts in the comments. But
I just can't see it being a money thing. Because let's face it, WWE don't need money, dude. They're not falling apart.
Yeah, they don't need money, but you mean to tell me they don't want to make money?
I think they do, but they're not losing meals here, okay? No matter where WrestleMania goes, it's a global phenomenon. So it's gonna make their money. They're gonna make what they need to make no matter where it's at. That's a fact, but there's got to be a different reason from them just pulling, because we've never seen this. Besides COVID, WrestleMania has never been in sort of limbo as far as where it's going to be, right? We know that. And like I said, WWE being the global phenomenon they are, they've never had this happen. So it's got to be something with the building, 2, the city. Something had to be pulled for a certain situation. It's not just, oh, Vegas did so good, we should just go back. That ain't how it goes, dude. Especially after you've already announced it and planned it. I can't see that being a thing.
Well, I mean, look at what Boza said in the comments, though. He said he gave a few good reasons to why you could want to do that. Number one, he said, they haven't had a good 2025. You had the terrorism, you got the reporter got murdered, you had 10 inmates escape the prison, and then on top of that, the one that makes more sense, saying that the Superdome's undergoing renovation and it wouldn't have been done in time for WrestleMania. Now that makes perfect.
That one would make sense. That would make sense to me. That would make sense. So it would have to be that. I don't think
it's unprecedented any way you look at it, but still.
Yeah. I just don't feel like, come on. I mean, people, they plan this shit out for forever before anything. So
yeah, but how do we know they didn't just say, how do we know that it wasn't something where it was just like, New Orleans told them we don't think we should have any issue with it? Or, from what, shout out to our guys. If you guys are watching us on bodyslam.net, they say it's a substantial offer for it to go back to Vegas. How do we know that Vegas didn't make so much money that they went back and said, we need that shit to come back again this year because we need to make some money? You're telling me that's not a viable answer when we're talking about Las Vegas of all places?
I just feel like if it's already announced, that was the big factor. You announced it. You had The Rock.
No, I agree with you. I agree. It's wild because I've never seen shit like that.
I don't think it just comes up where they're like, hey, I got this much money. I know you already announced, but we got X amount of dollars for it to come back this year. If anything, I think TKO, Triple H, and WWE, they just be like, all right, we got you next year then. You know what I mean? We already announced it. So if it's a money offer, dude, you got to throw the bank. And we know one person has the bank. That's the guy you mentioned earlier. So I really think WrestleMania is going to Saudi, dude. But since we started doing this,
can you imagine how bad that would just piss people off, though, dude?
Literally, since we started the live stream, I got my little feed queued up on here, and the trending thing is going back to Vegas now. So maybe it is what they're saying, though. Maybe it's the renovations, because to go back to Vegas, that's like an emergency situation, right? Hey, we need to come back. We did really well. We got this going on. Let's just go back to where it was before. Let's run it back one time. That's also historic. So hopefully they spill the beans on what it is and why it is.
Well, I mean, they're going to have to, right? I mean, like you just said, it was already announced.
You can't hide shit from wrestling internet fans nowadays.
Well, no, of course not. But I mean, like you said, though, this is it's unprecedented that this would happen when it's already been announced. So, at the end of the day, if that's what it boils down to, and like it was a money thing, sure. Boza said people are okay with the Royal Rumble going to Saudi, and as Kyle said, I agree. If Saudi gets, dude.
Hey,
I'm just saying, bro. If they get WrestleMania, people are going to lose their fucking shit.
Yes, I for one don't like the Royal Rumble being there, and that's just because the Royal Rumble for me is the number 2 event of the year, and these events are like they're global attractions for America. I'm sorry, but everybody comes from different countries to America to watch WrestleMania. Royal Rumble's growing. SummerSlam's growing, and I just don't. It's not like Kyle. I'm sorry, but you're not going to go, hey man, I'm headed out to Saudi for WrestleMania. I got credentialed for WrestleMania, knockouts and 3 counts, credentialed at the Royal Rumble in Saudi. It's not going to happen.
You ain't making that 12-hour flight, dog.
You know what I mean, though. Like Corey, you see, like this is going to cut everything, and Kyle, WrestleMania especially. You said it yourself. Everybody comes together in our space, in the podcast space, and the media space. Everybody comes together for WrestleMania, no matter where it's at in the States. It's not going to happen in Saudi, dude.
No, you
it's
can't.
Not gonna happen.
Can't have all the local indie promotions and stuff all putting on fights.
Corey
You can't
just
have
hit on
all
what
the-
I was going to say. The
you
thing
can't
is,
have the
WrestleMania
Wale
weekend
Manias, you can't
itself
have,
has become well, WrestleMania weekend itself has become week even. WrestleMania
Yeah,
week
the
has
whole
become
week.
such a big
Yeah.
thing that like that would do damage to not just WWE but the indies and NXT. I mean, I guess not necessarily NXT, but like the indies would take a big hit because now, I mean, like you said, there's events on events on events, and I just, me personally,
it's a gathering of wrestling community is what it is, and that you can't do that in another country like that. That's just not, you're not capable. So I think if that's the case, not that we're not going to watch WrestleMania, but it's a crippling hit for everybody else if it goes to Saudi.
yeah, I don't know, man. I'm just saying I could have. It was a viable option with the whole like a viable thing that I just like off rip. I thought that with the Turkey Al Sheik thing, man, and the TKO boxing and all the stuff that's been going on, I thought it could be an option, but the Vegas one, I could definitely see that though. With what they're saying with the Superdome, and like we already have talked about on the show since we were there, ring the bell. If you don't get your ring the bell shirt, go get you a ring the bell shirt. But you know, it was by far the most expensive I've ever been to. So that tells you that they probably made dumbass amounts of money. And when I saw well, put it this way, dude. I mean, when you can look at, I paid $487 for my ticket for night one. The guy who was sitting behind me paid $5,000. So you figure how many of those people were. Now, does that mean what up? No, Rob Williams. We're just talking about what up, the Bob Culture Podcast. I appreciate you for having me in the Daria Baronato, formerly known as Sonia Deville press conference for Invicta FC. Shout out to Invicta having us. You can check that out on our YouTube channel. Check out Bob Culture Podcast as well. Rob, what do you think about this WrestleMania thing, dude?
What do you guys think? I'm already 200 deep, right? Do I go for 4 or what are we doing here? You know,
of course, hell yeah, keep it going.
Keep it going. All right, 400
people spent $40,000 to sit front row. They had VIP packages where you sit on the stage design that I saw that. So I thought that makes sense that some of those were paid for because I know a lot of the influencers that were there were sitting on the stage this year. But 40 racks, 20 racks, Jesus Christ.
I mean, motherfuckers, they come out of pocket, man. They want
no way though. Like that's like
they want them experience.
That's like a year's worth of money, dude. Like no way.
To the average person, it absolutely is. To somebody that's willing to, some Bitcoin, person that's been investing or something, like that.
But then
that shit doesn't matter to them,
but the problem is, dude, and shout out to Big Swole. Big Swole was saying this earlier, wrestling was always made for the common man. Like that was always the thing. Like, and if it's from its roots is for the common man. And if it keeps going this way, you're going to price yourself out of your regular family being able to go to WrestleMania, dude.
Yeah, but you can, there's such a simple answer, right? Because it's being brought up so many times in the MMA sphere as well. It's TKO. It's the fact that this is now a shareholders.
Hey, so was I. Ring the bell, Rob. I got to get you a shirt.
both wrestling and MMA are shareholder sports now. They're not, they're not doing what's best for the sport. They're not doing what's best for the fans. They're not doing what's best for building things. They're literally worried about lining their investors' pockets and continuing, economical growth ever forward. That's literally the only parameter. So yeah, would it surprise me that they might switch things up to go to Vegas? Because like you say, Kyle, it's arguably the biggest money they've probably made maybe ever from a
they already confirmed it.
Yeah. And that's the thing is, I think no matter where they go next year, they're going to continue unless something drastic happens and people just stop showing up or something along those lines. We're going to see the continual growth. Like, I mean, we didn't really cover it too much on this show, but you know, that UFC Montreal, that last pay-per-view, that the ticket prices had continued to plunder and stuff like that for that event. Yeah, they were still $300, $400, $500 for decent seats, though. At the end of the day, it's like that's still an astronomical amount of money. And Kyle, like you say, Kyle, you walked away what, $450 or something? You said, and that's because you game planned. You did everything you could to possibly save $1. You bought the ticket the day of or the day before. You did everything. You were already on site, flew out there, got a hotel, and you just played the game because you knew it would save you a couple bucks. Other than that, like you said, you were paying $4,000, $5,000 for some seats like that. So to me, it's all about lining essentially the wrong people's pockets, man.
Yeah.
There was to have been a Tampa takeover to compete with Double or Nothing Saturday to Tuesday, but it's Saturday to Monday Boza, if I'm not mistaken, I don't think they're not canceling Battleground. They canceled the taping there. So they canceled the taping, I believe, and put the taping at the Performance Center. As far as I know, the pay-per-view is still going down as planned. It was the taping that got moved to the Performance Center. Am I right?
So I wonder how long before they're gonna drop like a hint or a new location. Like there's got to be something because the world's watching.
Oh, dude,
right
it's
now.
going to be within the next day or so. I mean, like I said, this has never happened where it was fully like out there. Like it was announced. Yeah. This is the date. They put the dates. It was this day and this day. This first time that's ever happened. So not that I think that they're in like a panic or anything, but I would imagine how much
hope they give us a detailed reason. Please.
I was just about to say though, I don't think you're going to get a detailed answer. I think you're going to get how much detail they want to give you.
Yeah.
When in
and
reality,
I'm sorry, man. I know us Detroiters are really pulling for WrestleMania here in the D again, but
it ain't coming to Detroit.
It ain't coming, man. I'm sorry. It ain't. Nah. With the way the process is now and bidding on WrestleMania and the structure of the city growth and all that stuff, like it ain't coming here.
I understand how big of an economic opportunity it is to host an event like that. I completely understand it. But realistically, I'd rather see that money invested elsewhere throughout the state than offering, trillion or billion dollar.
It's going to take the Lions to win the Super Bowl, bro. Yeah. Once we win that Super Bowl.
Hey, Boza, you stop it. You stop it. Don't go down Corey's train of Downer Betty over here. God damn it. We need WrestleMania. Hey, Debbie Downer and this motherfucker, dude. I'm trying to get WrestleMania back to Detroit, and this guy's like, oh no, stay away from Detroit.
Look, we're just being real over here.
I know it's not coming here this year, but he's putting it into the universe that it ain't coming here. Like we shouldn't. Detroit doesn't need it. Man, that's the best chance you're going to get is something big coming because the Super Bowl sure as fuck ain't never coming here again. Not in February.
I can agree with what Rob said. I think Indianapolis
when? On the table. 20 years ago?
I think Indy could be on the table for WrestleMania, though. If we're just pivoting here, I wouldn't think Indy's off the table.
Well, and that's what Rob said. Rob said...
They've been playing.
Rob said you got to throw Indy into the mix because didn't they say when they announced the Royal Rumble thing that it was supposed to be Royal Rumble in a future WrestleMania?
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, I would be okay with Indy because I could drive to Indy.
If we're just pivoting because of certain situation, then yeah, Indy's definitely a viable spot for it.
I mean, like I said, I can get down with. I can
Kyle,
get down.
Would you rather
with
see it go back to Vegas though? Would you rather see them do the two years in a row thing back to Vegas, or would you rather it be somewhere?
I mean, I had a damn good time in Vegas. I'm not gonna lie, but for the sheer like expensiveness of how much it was and stuff like that, like. I mean, plus I like going to different places. I mean, I could totally understand why they do it there because there's a lot of different places for them to do that, and then like to do the stuff that's around it. Like in terms of you figure like they had the WrestleMania After Dark thing at all the nightclubs and shit where they had different people showing up there every night.
Right.
You had the Remix Rumble. Like, I mean, not that they won't do that in other cities, you know what I mean? But like Vegas is kind of like that kind of spot for like the nightlife type stuff. And,
Right.
you know, to the point that we're making here, I think it has more to do with the fact they just made a lot of money there. And,
Yeah.
you know, that Vegas presents a lot of opportunities for that to happen.
The other front runner I was seeing on the internet was Minnesota, because they've been rumored to have a Mania coming there real soon, and then obviously London, the other one.
I just, unless Minnesota just threw them an assload of money, I really think it's either Vegas or Saudi. I'd like it to be Indy. I'd like it to be Indy, to be honest.
The Saudi one would be a wild one for sure.
I just feel like that would cause a lot of shit. Like, I'm just saying.
What, Saudi?
If it went to Saudi, that would cause a lot of problems.
Yeah, I mean, especially considering we're open the road to WrestleMania with the Royal Rumble in Saudi already. And like I said, don't get me wrong, there's still decent events over there. It's not the event that I'm concerned with. It's what we do in the podcast space. It's the independent wrestling companies that build around these shows. You know what I mean? You're crippling it. So that's my only gripe, I guess, about it. Still gonna watch it. And you know what? Royal Rumble here, when we do our little party, it's probably gonna be at noon now.
Yeah, it'll be in the middle of the day. Although I'm not gonna hold you though. That's not such a bad. I feel like that wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. I don't think that'd be the worst thing in the world for it to be in the middle of the day, given how long it goes. But I mean, at least now it's only about 4 hours, you know.
Corey be drinking Red Stripes at noon. We'll be fine.
Sounds like a party to me, boys.
Noon on a Saturday.
Hey.
Brunch beers.
Hey.
Well, let's talk about, since we've talked about WrestleMania, our thoughts on where it goes, all that kind of stuff. Let's talk about what WWE does have in store this weekend, and the fact that, dude, we've got so much shit that's going on this weekend. You have
a lot.
That you've got NXT Battleground, and you got Saturday Night Main Event where John Cena is going to take on R-Truth, which I love that that's happening in 2025. I just want that out on the record. But, dude, I love the Saturday Night Main Event that have been coming back around, but they're doing that. It's like, how much of this do you think, to be honest, is because it's Memorial Day, and how much of it do you think is because, like, do you think any of it had to do with the fact they knew AEW was doing Double or Nothing?
Yeah, I do. Look, man, they can act like it's not there all they want. You don't have to talk about it. We can act like they don't exist, but people are out there doing it. Come on. I mean, we know they got an event this weekend, so the fact that we're just building around it with other events was WWE essentially got 3 other events, right? You got NXT Battleground, Saturday Night's Main Event, and then TNA, which is ultimately.
But does that really count as WWE though?
I mean, you got NXT guys on the card. You got Trick Williams on there. So, I mean, they're a partner. I would count it.
There you go. Hell yeah. He said they moved Battleground up a few weeks, and they're starting at 8 o'clock. He goes, that's clearly a shot.
I said, we don't have to talk about it. We don't have to act like it's a thing, but we know it is a thing. And yeah.
It ain't a thing, but it's a thing.
It's a thing. You know what I mean?
It's a thing.
At the end of the day,
know, just like old Rowdy Piper, shout out to Homage if you want to get you one of these dope ass shirts. But just when they think they got the answers, I start changing the questions. You know, I am looking forward to it. Which one do you want to jump into first? Battleground or Saturday Night's Main Event?
Let's do Saturday Night's Main Event first. Nostalgia.
Right, what do you want to hit first?
First of all, I love the nostalgic factor of Saturday Night's Main Event because it makes me feel like I'm a kid again. Back in my day, when when we were watching Channel 4. It's cool. They got the original theme. They got the original look for Saturday night's main event. I dig that stuff. But for me, man, it's the tag team match. Braun Breaker, Seth Rollins versus CM Punk, and Sami Zayn. That's going to be huge, and that has huge implications on the future going forward because I think we might get the third man on Saturday. I really think we might.
Third man. Speaking of who's the third man, shout out to our guy Mark Ramondi in his new book on who's the third man, talking about the history of NWO and wrestling. Hopefully going to talk about that on the show soon too. Check that out now wherever you get books. Shout out to Simon and Schuster and all them as well. But you said you want to start with Saturday night's main event. So first of all, the fact that Logan Paul is getting a world title shot. How do we feel about that?
Whatever. He ain't going to win. We all know that. Look,
I hope not.
I think Logan may be a world champion.
Oh, I think he could be at some point. I mean, if I'm really being honest, like he's caught on to it real good, but I don't want to see him be the one to take it off the chick.
It's not here and it's not yet, but whatever. It's cool. Hey, Logan's done his thing. You can't take anything away from him, dude. You can hate his name, you can hate, how he acts, all that stuff, but the fact is he's been a great wrestler and he's done a lot eye-wise for the company. So put him on NBC for the title. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. He's not going to win. It's going to be real close. We might even think he's going to win. He ain't going to win. No.
Dirty backhanded champion. That's what he's going to be.
Yeah.
Saturday.
He said, can I be honest? Don't want to start anything, but I'm worried he is. Logan is a social media personality, and they want to get clicks. Plus, it felt like they were teasing Gunther could be face.
Yeah, I mean, it ain't out of the realm of reality. Nothing is at this point, but I don't think it's happening yet.
And
I do think he will be the champ. I think he may even win the Money in the Bank this year, to be honest. But I don't think it's going to be this particular Saturday. That's all I'm saying. But in the future, 100%, he's going to be holding that title because the social media world will just explode once he's holding it.
Hamp coming in, he said what if he thinks that New Orleans wanted him to lower the ticket prices? I don't know about that one because I feel like everywhere the tickets have been kind of crazy right now. Like, I mean, Lions tickets went through the roof when we got good. Pistons tickets went through the roof when we went to the playoffs.
Yeah.
And I would imagine they want to make the most money that they can. You know what I mean? Like,
it just goes back to it's already been announced. We've already announced it. I've seen people on Twitter X saying, hey, I've already bought my hotel. I've already reserved this and that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it has been announced. So for them to go back, it's got to be an emergency situation. Something had to have happened, man. I don't know. Hopefully, like I said,
we'll see what happens. But make a pick. Do you think Logan Paul's taking this belt here or what?
No. Main event Jey Uso retains.
I think so too, man. I hope so. I just don't. I fully agree that I think he'll be world champ at some point. I just don't think it's right now.
Yeah.
CM Punk and Sami Zayn versus Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker. Is Sami Zayn the third man? And who wins this tag match?
I don't think Braun Breaker and Seth Rollins are losing this tag match. I think it's too early for them to take a loss like that because we're still building up that whole, power group. But yeah, I think it could be Sammy this weekend because it's one of those situations where if you can't beat him, join him, right? And Sammy, that pretty much happened. Remember, it happened with the Bloodline, kind of. He really struggled with getting through that phase of the Bloodline, and eventually he just joined him. So kind of rewriting that story here. But I don't know, as far as like the CM Punk side of it,
it just makes him a bigger baby face.
We're just furthering the story with him and Seth, which is ultimately going to lead to probably SummerSlam, a big payoff at SummerSlam. But if it's not Sammy, and I bet we've touched on this a million times, I really hope if there's going to be a third man, I really want it to be Bronson Reed, dude. That's just who I want to put in that spot.
He says he sees Roman returning. That's interesting.
That'd be cool. I did read that he's not supposed to return until like somewhere near SummerSlam though.
Man, that's what I hate about wrestling in 2025. Even though I love the fact that we're able to report on it and stuff, man, I miss the days where you just didn't know what the fuck was going to happen.
Surprises, bro.
Yeah, dude, got to hit you. What's
We
going
ain't
good?
that lucky anymore.
But all right, I agree with you. I think Heyman family wins this one. You've got we'll do that last. You got Damian Priest versus Drew McIntyre inside a steel cage. I think that match is going to be fucking dope.
Yeah.
They're going to beat the dog shit out of each other. First of all, like if Drew's match at WrestleMania, Drew versus Priest at WrestleMania is any like thing of what we're going to get. And this is supposed to be the grand finale in a cage. They're going to beat the shit out of each other. They're probably both going to be bleeding. Someone's definitely getting their lip split in this one.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but it's on NBC. I don't know how far are we able to go on network television?
Yeah, that's a good point. Not
to be a downer here, but hey, it's also on Peacock, and that's a paying service. So who knows?
And they do that on the pay-per-view all the time.
True.
So maybe they just don't show it live on NBC then.
Maybe they just turn the screen black and white. Like
hell yeah, send us back to the 1970s. Let's get it. I'm with it. Let's get it. Take us back to the superstar Billy Graham days. Rest in peace to Superstar. All right. Yeah, man. I feel like Damian Priest is winning this one. I feel like this is going to be like the exclamation point on it. But I just don't. Where does Drew go after that is my thing, you know?
Yeah. See, I'm the other way on it, though. I think Drew's taking it. So we can split this one. This is good. This is good for the show. I think Drew's going to win it. And I think but it's got to happen in like very like rough fashion, dude. I don't want to cheat.
Dude, they got to beat the shit out of each other. Come on now.
I just want it to be an all-out brawl, and I want somehow Drew to just make the cut.
I don't see how it can't be. If it's not, it's going to suck.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, depending on what direction are they both going? Because these are two guys that are kind of like, I don't want to say in limbo, but it's, the road ahead is kind of questionable for both of them. Money in the Bank's coming up, though, so open some doors. But my pick for that match, Drew.
Okay. John Cena and R-Truth, though. He put my man through the table at the press conference. Now they're facing each other Saturday night's main event. John Cena is obviously, I would imagine, going to win this one, but what kind of chicanery do you think we're going to get in this one?
Why, John? Why? Yeah, no, man. I think
you were my hero, John.
It's going to be
one of those things, loyalty, and respect because of you.
Yeah. It's a non-title match, though. So I'm thinking, like, what if we get like a roll-up pin or like whoever John Cena's next?
Good point. And it's not for the belt, too.
What if we get John Cena's next challenger to cause some fuckery in there and Truth somehow escapes with a victory over John Cena? You know what I mean? Because you get the victory now over John Cena on the farewell tour, that's going to make a pissed off John Cena, and he's going to come back with some heat, dude.
Have Joe Hendry come out and fuck him up.
I mean, it's a good segue into who's going to be the next contender, right?
Look, all you got to do, have Joe Hendry and R-Truth have like a mini concert in the middle of the match. And then, I don't know, somehow Joe Hendry smokes him with his guitar.
Yeah.
If we get a fifth match, what will it be? My gut tells me it's a women's match, probably Zelina. I would like that. Run that. Please do that. Zelina versus Chelsea Green in a rematch for the U.S. title. Please run that. I'm down
Kyle,
with that.
So tell me if you're against this little thing. Money in the Bank's in what, 2 weeks from Saturday, right? One thing we wouldn't have to build up is if
which you can check out our party with Potters of Destiny at DraftKings Sports. You need to be in the building. It's a damn good time. Shout out to Ant and Ken. Go ahead.
it's not. It's you don't need a lot of time to build a rematch of Randy Orton and John Cena one more time, because Randy could get his little get back on causing John the match on Saturday, ultimately run it back one more time, Money in the Bank. Only reason I think it might not happen is because they already showed the whole like final match, final time, biggest rivalry of all time, last time.
I mean,
You know what
it's
I mean?
pro wrestling.
Yeah, I mean, I guess anything can happen. But for a 2-week build, I feel like we wouldn't have to build that much to get one more match out of that. So maybe.
Yeah, I could see
I do
that.
like the
and
idea
I'm-
of Truth winning, though, since it's a non-title match. I
I was gonna
idea of
say,
Truth
with it
winning.
being a non-title now, I could see that. I could totally see that. With it, if it was for the title, hell no.
It could
but-
even, honestly, this could be a good way to reintroduce Cody Rhodes back into the mix. Maybe Cody causes John Cena to lose the match. It
Fuck
is
yeah.
NBC.
I'm
You
cool
want
with
your
that
biggest
too.
star on TV at some point.
I
could
mean,
be a build
that's
to
one
SummerSlam.
thing I was going to bring up too. It's been a minute since we've seen Cody Rhodes on TV too, and he went from being like the biggest star, shaking hands, kissing babies, and now is has been incognito. So yeah, I could see that. I think who do you think wins? Are you going Truth or Cena?
Dude, look, if we were gambling on this is like a plus 5,000. So I'm throwing the money on the underdog. I'm taking our Truth.
Damn right. Especially with it being non-title, I'm going our Truth all the way. 65-time 24/7 champ in this bitch. Let's go.
I'm talking about.
Let's go. 65 times. I could be wrong, but it was
Ron.
a lot of times.
Let's go, Ron. I hope he brings
Fuck
little
yeah.
Jimmy with him.
Where's little Jimmy? Little Jimmy could fuck over John Cena, and then you got a whole new T-shirt.
Yeah. John Cena
Better
takes
watch out for
takes
little
the
Jimmy.
Low blow, the invisible low blow.
So it's the summer of little Jimmy is what you're trying to tell me. But you know what else it's the summer of? The UFC has mentioned a whole bunch more fights. I'm still hoping that they kind of bring ticket prices down too, but you've got Merab versus Sean O'Malley, you've got Ilia Topuria versus Charles Oliveira, you got Max Holloway versus Dustin Poirier, you got DDP versus Chimaev, you've got our guy Jamal Hill getting back in there, but those are your main ones for the most part.
Out of
Corey,
what you just listed, which one excites you guys the most? I want to start there.
For the future of the division, Topuria Oliveira. For which one I think is going to be the most fucking fun to watch, Poirier Holloway all the way.
Okay, yeah, that's probably entertainment value. Hard to argue with. What
Entertainment value, bro. They're gonna and it's Poirier's last fight, dude. They're beating the fuck out of each other.
All right, you could essentially flip a coin for all these fights and just whatever land on. These are all some banger fights. But I'll tell you what though, I am interested to see how Hamzat does against DDP, because it's one of those fights. It's like questionable. You know what I mean? Like how's he gonna do this? How will he do this? How will DDP react to this? So that's
how I feel about Oliveira and Topuria.
Yeah, I mean, both of which are good fights to that's why I've heard a lot of the rumblings that on Twitter and such that the UFC is back, like they finally made some bomb matchups. We got a summer of good fights and stuff, and part of me agrees. These main events that we got on a couple cards coming up are pretty good. To me, I also agree with you, J-Bone, though. That DDP versus Hamzat fight is such a question mark for me. We've seen what Hamzat's been able to do. He's just rolled through the likes of Whitaker in half a round. And it's just it's always unprecedented. You don't expect going into it that oh man, has the chance of just steam. But then he does it and you're like, how the hell did he actually do that against, X, Y, or Z? Is he going to be able to do that against DDP, who also is one of those guys that's I didn't think maybe I didn't think he'd get it this far, multiple title defenses, looking
right.
If he can be Hamzat, he truly is looking like the best in the division. There's no questioning it at that point. And it's just that's why that stylistic matchup, I guess, intrigues me the most. I also really, not that it's announced yet, but that what Jack Della Maddalena was able to do in that title victory surprised the shit out of me. So to see Islam move up and essentially bring that same type of style, I'm assuming a lot more pressure with it throughout that fight, because Bilal wasn't necessarily the pressuring one in that one. But that matchup really intrigues me as well. To your point, Kyle, I think the Ilia one, I think we've seen Oliveira lose, I don't want to say too many times, but we've seen him lose, where a lot of these other matchups, they're like, we haven't seen these guys put in these spots, like Jack's on like a 8-fight win streak since entering the UFC. Islam's lost once, like super early in his career. It's like the Kamzat steamrolling everybody, DDP just outliving expectations. I feel like there's some real good matchups. There's some real good, like, what's going to happen conversations that can be had, of course, through all that. But it's like, when that day actually comes and they're actually in the ring and fighting, man, any of those matchups, I mean, there's going to be that heart pounding feeling again of like, oh man, this is real. And the UFC has been needing that for a while.
Big fight feels, man. That's what I call that.
Yeah.
Big fight feels, and we need that.
Yeah, man. Like I said, I agree with that, because I feel like the last few UFCs haven't really had the cachet to them that
didn't give you the jitters,
I mean, I don't ever really expect all the pay-per-views to necessarily give me jitters, but at the same time, like, for paying as much money as you got to pay to watch them, it's different with WWE.
Yeah.
WWE, all you got to do is have a Peacock subscription, man. Like, you got to pay $80 every time for those.
Yeah.
If people got to put money out of pocket, I want to be able to see, and it doesn't mean that the event itself might not deliver, but when you're talking about putting that much stuff on there, I want to see the best possible stuff put out on the marquee.
For sure, agreed.
Well, I don't know if you can do it real quick, but I mean, since we're on that conversation, if you could pull up International Fight Week, because they had that bigger announcement for what that card was. What's your guys' thoughts on it? Because I feel like besides the Ilia Topuria and Charles Oliveira, and if I'm not mistaken, the co-main event was Kai.
You got Kai Kara France and Pantoja.
Yeah.
You got Benil versus Mike Hano. You got Manel Kopp versus Brandon Royval. Paulo Costa versus Kopolov. Hermanson versus RoboCop. What
I'm getting at is that for that, all the luster of that being essentially the WrestleMania of UFC pay-per-views throughout the year.
I think it's a dope ass card, but no, I think the fight that needed to be on that shit was John Jones and Tom Aspinall, but who knows if that's going to happen.
I mean, even if you just added some more high intrigue, fight fan, the type of fighters that, whether it be the young fans or the hardcores or whatever it be, are actually behind, like maybe the O'Malley's of the world. Maybe you move that Merab fight to there. Maybe like the Raul Rosas, maybe you put him in a big matchup or something. I feel like there's just a couple. It seems like it still has filler for this being like the prestige card of the year, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, man. Like I said, I just wish it kind of had some more steam to it. But like I said, I think Holloway Poirier is going to be everything you could want it to be. To be honest,
banger.
Yeah,
I really don't know who.
That's going to be hard to compete with.
I was going to say, dude, I really don't know who to pick in that one, to be honest, because both guys have been through wars. On one hand, part of you wants to say, okay, Poirier's on his way out, but you got to remember how long, Holloway's been fighting in the wars that he's been in as well.
And once he makes his walk out to the cage, I know he, lost in that knockout fight to Ilia, but it'll be almost a year in between fights once he makes that walk again. So he'll have plenty of Is there questions of his
Yeah,
own?
but how
Like,
much does that
was he
affect
able?
him too? With
That's
how active Holloway used to be too.
that's what I was just gonna say. It poses more to the storyline of what version are we gonna see? Is it a rested, well calculated version of Max who's been training for
The
8
same
months,
can be said
knowing?
though about Poirier though,
Oh,
because Poirier
absolutely,
ain't fought in
absolutely.
a hot minute too. I mean, don't get me wrong, this is the perfect style fight for a guy like Dustin Poirier.
Yeah.
But and Boza, dude, I appreciate all the comments, dude. It feels
Yeah,
like
dude,
UFC
he's killing it in the
318 is a
comments.
one fight show outside of Dustin Poirier's farewell. I could see that. And I mean, and to your point, they probably would do amazing fucking numbers with that if they put that on TV because people know that fight's going to be money.
Could you imagine if they actually did something like that? It would, though. That would be a huge moment for the sport if you were able to do. I know 2-3 years ago they were doing like 1 or 2 or 3 of the ABC cards throughout the year. If they were able to do something like that and put on, it's not necessarily a title bout, even though I believe it's the BMF officially. It's not. It of course is going to be a well-selling pay-per-view, I'm sure, but it's one of those moments where you could really build the sport off of some really good fights, I'm sure, on that card. And to your point, the main event, there's almost no way that won't deliver, right? I mean, it's almost physically impossible. So I mean, I don't know, man. There's so much.
I like the fights where you don't know who's going to win because, like, to be honest with you, I think Merab beats O'Malley again. I think we see a lot more of what we saw in the first fight.
Okay.
Honestly, I do. I mean, and that's no disrespect to O'Malley, but I mean, he's going to have to get really good takedown defense in order to be able to stop that.
Good.
I think it. Well, I don't think that was the biggest issue. It wasn't that he was taken down.
He couldn't, whether he was getting taken down or being pinned against the fence, he couldn't stay out at range long enough to be able to hit him.
And if I'm not mistaken, I believe it was Mighty Mouse's episode with Sean O'Malley's coach, Tim Welsh, where he said, if he can't win this fight, he'll have basically had 10 rounds to try to knock him out in this one. In this matchup between the two guys. So to me, I feel like the fight that we've seen in that first one wasn't quite as far off as maybe like memory plays back, because it was one of those like, Merab's, but the takedowns weren't necessarily successful. If he was able to just stir up a knee or two in there to kind of break up the pressure, I feel like that fight might be closer with all of the footage that he can now go back on from the first fight and review to see things he can change. Not saying Merab's not also in that same boat, but I feel like Merab's a lot less, he's a lot less calculated. He's a lot less like by the numbers. He's just pressure and unrelentingness that always gets him through the fights, where I feel like somebody like Sean, who has a 5-round footage on, how your guys' fight style plays out against each other, I feel like actually could make a difference.
Yeah, man, we're going to have to see what it is. For everybody who's watching on Body Slam, I know that they've got their TNA recap that's going to be coming on here in a minute, so you guys may miss some of the show here because we got a little bit of a late start. But like I said, man, it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. To be honest with you, like I said, that's just how I see that fight, but I still pick Merab to win that one. But as far as Ilia and Charles Oliveira, that might be the most intriguing matchup for me because, Ilia was touted as this big submission guy. I don't know that he's going to be able to submit a guy like Charles Oliveira. Ilia's also been knocking people the fuck out, but Charles Oliveira can take damage and knock people out. I think this fight comes down to Charles Oliveira being able to weather the storm and not get finished early by Topuria, because he's going to come at him hard.
I don't even think it's a early thing or anything like that, man. What Topuria was able to do to Max Holloway in that fight surprised the shit out of me. Max Holloway being one of these clean, crisp boxers who's able to maintain range and not really get himself hurt too often in fights. Never knocked down, never knocked out. All of a sudden, not only does he get knocked down, he gets knocked the fuck out. He got knocked out hard. You know, like Ilia Topuria is one of those guys who he's able to work against people's styles. He's able to maintain the range that he wants. He's able to I think the biggest part of his game and why he's so successful at all these knockouts that you're talking about, Kyle, is